Hello again, welcome to our channel. Thank you so much for joining us. It's great to have your company again. Today's background is a beautiful lilac tree. Today, Naj and I are doing quite a lot of planting. We're planting some vegetable and some salad crops, and we thought that we would share our exploits with you. We're going to be planting a lot of things today. We've got 4 examples here of what we're planting. Here we've got some runner beans. Our runner beans, sometimes we actually plant directly into the soil, sometimes we start off in pots and then plant into the soil. And these are 2 examples of how we grow in pots. Here we've got them in square pots. I'm going to take the plants out and then put them into the soil. Here we've got them in smaller pots, but these will be planted directly into the soil. Okay, these pots will degrade and so they can be planted directly into the soil. Exactly the same principle here with some French beans. French beans in pots that we remove from the pot to plant into the soil. French beans that we've got in small degradable pots, and we will plant those directly into the soil. Other things that we're going to plant today. Over here we've got some courgettes. These should have been planted out before now. We're quite ashamed actually that these are now getting a little bit past their best sell-by date, but we're going to be planting those. And over on this side we've got some beetroot. Some lovely beetroot that we've planted in the cardboard sleeves. We're taking cardboard sleeves out, we're planting these into the ground as well. So these are just some of the crops today that we're going to be planted. Naj and I are going to have fun. We hope that you do as well. Okay then, so we've come across to one of the raised beds in which we are growing beans. You can see here that we've already planted out some runner beans that we've grown in pots. We're going to carry on with this before we're going to directly sow some runner beans as well. So I'm taking the beans out of the pot and putting them into their holes. Over here then we've directly sown. What I've done, I've actually put some runner beans onto the soil, and now I'm going to push the runner beans in. This is the easiest way of directly sowing. Sometimes we do it in completely different ways, but on this particular occasion we're going to take the easiest option, and the beans that we've laid out we're just pushing down gently into the surface of the soil. The soil is very soft, so I'm not going to be damaging the beans in any way by doing this. I'm just pushing them down maybe about 1 inch to 2 inches into the soil. Those up at that end I've already done. I think that down here I've done most of them. Great, okay, so I'm just going to cover over now. Moving on now then to the French beans. Taking the French beans out of the pots that they've been grown in and putting them into the soil. We've directly sown some as well. We're not going to show you that part. We're just going to show you actually putting these now into the soil. Planted a few weeks ago, can't remember the exact date, but planted fairly recently. And they've actually germinated very well. Now up at this end, I'm actually going to plant some in those little fibre pots. Okay, this just goes to show, I don't know whether you've used fibre pots before, but if you haven't, as I said, these are degradable, so I'm just going to simply pop into the ground. As simple as that. These are particularly good when you've got plants that don't like having their root systems disturbed. Okay, so we're already starting to develop a nice little bed of French beans. As I said, we will direct sow some as well, but we're not going to show you that part of the operation. So now then, we're on to the courgettes. We have 6 courgette plants. And we're going to plant them over in this part of this raised bed, over towards the raspberries. So we've now gone on to planting the beetroot, and Nadge is finding this extremely funny because she thinks I'm going to have a terrible disaster getting these beetroot out of this tray. Now, as you know, we've planted this beetroot using the cardboard sleeve technique. So I want to try and actually slide a lot of these beetroot out of this tray. And Nadge thinks they're all going to fall apart. Now, she might be absolutely right. I don't know. I'm hoping that she's wrong and that I can get them all out of the sleeve. Wow! So we've got a nice sleeve of beetroot that have come out. That's good. As I said before, I mean, this is an experiment using the sleeve method on the beetroot, and that one actually seems to have worked well. Now, I don't know about this one. Let's try. Yeah, okay, I'm sure that you actually want it to fall apart, don't you? Oh, now you can see why I'm wearing an old jacket. Oh. Well, it's not bad, is it?
No, that's really nice.
That's really not bad at all. Okay, so we've got ourselves some nice, healthy beetroot. Obviously, I've just got to fill in around them and everything, but the principle seems to have worked, and I'm quite pleased. Okay, so we've moved on to our next tray of beetroot. The beetroot look really healthy, really good. We've actually got a visitor in here, which we haven't got the heart to take out. Again, they've been sown using the cardboard sleeve method. So again, Nadge thinks that it's all going to fall apart and it's going to be a disaster. We've had a bet on this. I think this one will be even better than the last one, but we'll see.
Let's see. Good luck. I can see there.
Is it going to fall apart?
Yeah, because you want
No!
Yes.
No! Hey! They've come out well. Let's just get the little bit of cardboard away. So we're now on to our carrots. Now these carrots, again, we've grown using the cardboard sleeve technique in the long, deep trays. Again, we seem to have got a visitor that's visiting us.
Why you always have visitors?
I don't know. We'll know, because you're very hospitable, darling. So we're now going to actually try and get these out again. And again, Nadge thinks that this is the one that's going to fall apart. I think it's going to succeed again.
1, 2, 3.
Oh!
Perfect.
So we're getting our lovely carrots out, and we're going to put them into the ground.
How many months are you going to wait for them?
Well, I don't know. Depends on whether you sing to them or not. I'm wondering, this is the first time that we've done this. As I told you before, this was an experiment. I'm wondering how much of the cardboard to try and get off, whether to leave it on because the carrots don't really like their roots being disturbed. But either way, I think it will be pretty successful. Let's try and get this one out as well. And see if we can do this without it falling apart. And again, we've laid it into the hole pretty well, into the trench pretty well. Again, not too sure how much of this cardboard to try and get off. You know, have to think about it. I'm inclined to leave most of it on, particularly underneath. Try and keep the disturbance of the roots to a minimum. Up at the top end, where it's a little bit bare, and down at this end, we've got a couple of trays that have been sort of multi-sown in a conventional way in cells and that. And we'll probably put those at the end and everything to try and make the row up. But the general principle, it seems to have worked quite well. We're quite pleased with that. And Naj is quite disappointed because she wanted it to fall apart so that she could have a good laugh.
Okay.